Hi, Clint with Indie Shooter, continuing our coverage of NAB 2018 here with Randy Weddick of BandPro. And Randy, this is a new streaming device that you guys have for high-end production applications. Talk about it.
This is called the Quinebox IoT. It's a development from this guy I've known for a really long time, Gunlik Groven. He's a Norwegian guy that we worked on a project together similar to this for a couple of years. It'll receive the start and stop flags from the camera. It'll take all the relevant metadata off the SDI stream, the scene and take, time code, audio, all that stuff, and it will grab it, put it in the box. There's a 1 terabyte storage device in here. It'll grab a proxy, and you can create a ProRes, you can create H.264, and then connect to a Wi-Fi network or multiple 4G networks, and can stream out the dailies to a cloud storage device. I mean, to like an Amazon Web Services or an Azure, basically as you shoot, annotated notes can be made. Script Supervisor can be connected to it live or after the fact and add in notes through a Movie Slate app, and you can really keep track of stuff. And then all the metadata, all the entry from the metadata is stored back into the device. So basically, like, it's kind of like a rolling. It's a rolling delivery system. So as you're shooting throughout the day, a drive is being populated with dailies almost instantaneously, but then you can rapidly start accessing and cutting and just getting on with it, you know, getting on with your production, getting on with your post-production immediately during your production.
So when this goes to the cloud, it sends the files to the cloud. Can they download the files, or are they just like can they just stream it from the cloud?
Well, it depends on your permissions level access. Some people can just look into it. Other people can start manipulating them directly. You know, it's basically set up to work either way, but it's kind of in a cascading level of permissions. And certain people can reach into certain parts of it. Certain people are administrators and can do anything, and certain people can just edit it or add metadata on top of it, or, you know, a Script Supervisor could only just add notes, and a camera assistant could add notes to the camera part. You know, it's all configurable to kind of work however you want it.
And the full res files are going to be stored on your storage device like regular.
Yeah, any of the raw media stuff and any of the one light color stuff, still a lot of that stuff is still going to be done by your DIT or your, you know, download text, your colorist, whatever, like that type of stuff. Post house, that kind of thing. But in terms of rapidly getting things up, to take that out of the manual labor of the day.
Yeah, and so I would assume that people, if they're cutting on the proxy files, once they get the full res files, they can just point them back to it and the cut's there.
Yeah, the whole design of this is to make sure that all the files are conformable, so they share the same file name, time code, scene and take information, and also all the relevant metadata that's like coming off of any Arri, Red, Canon, probably Sony and Panasonic very shortly. All this metadata is going to be captured, so it'll be able to match directly back to the raw media.
That's amazing, and I mean, it's so necessary right now as people are wanting to edit on set and stuff like that.
Even the stuff you guys are doing here, you understand it directly, like, you know, like this would work not only for a high-end cinema application or like a commercial where they have super tight turnaround, but also for like a news or you know, even a, you know, any kind of
ENG type
operation. Yeah, exactly.
So in that regard, can it take any type of footage? I see it's hooked up to a Red here, right?
Yeah, it takes an SDI feed and makes 1080 files off of that usually. But another application I forgot to mention is something like a show that's shooting in another country, like, you know, you're in South America and you're shooting. You can link up to this cloud drive, and people in Los Angeles or New York or London or whatever can immediately look at it as well and review it and feel safe that, like, sure, we went out of the country, but, you know, I'm able to see these files minutes or seconds later.
And that's the key thing that if you're not familiar with this type of technology, that's so important, is that it's not just streaming this out and people are seeing it. It's actually going to a cloud-based server where it will live until you take it down. You're not having to stream it every time someone wants to access.
Right. It's not necessarily live streaming. It's streaming storage. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are these shipping now, or?
Yeah, they're we're getting the first 2 units right after the show here, and we're going to start showing them around to some different shows. So we've gotten a lot of interest from some of the bigger kind of streaming players, and it's. I think we're going to start seeing these in some shows pretty soon.
You mentioned that smaller productions can utilize this. Do you know a price on this yet?
Price on this unit I think is around $9,000 for the base unit here, and then basically it allows you to connect to a streaming service that you would have to find QUINE.no. That's a Norwegian website, but I think we're going to have some information about this on bandpro.com.